has come through. Let's just confirm it is up there. Hello everyone and welcome to One Hub Racing, Season 14, Round 9 here at Austria. Today is brought to you commentary-wise by myself, Leon, and Luke. Say hello, Luke. There we go.
Hello again, everyone. Good to be back.
Yeah, Luke's back. I think he came back last week. I've not been here for, I think it's 2 seasons, commentary-wise, so it's a bit weird for me to be back on the commentary, but good as per usual. As everyone is coming into stream, I think we can start off by having an interview with one of the drivers. We'll go through the standings, I think, a little bit later on as everyone gets into the stream. So, Luke, have you got anyone who you think you can get in who's on a good form at the moment?
Well, I'm going to try and talk to Riley, who got managed to get a podium last time out. It was a pretty decent weekend, race meeting all round for the 2 Force India drivers. Riley getting 3rd place, Peter Parker getting in 5th position, and it's a good way to start that second part of the season. But there was a lot of incidents last week, and as far as I'm aware, Riley managed to keep it fairly clean compared to some of the others. If we get a chance, we will go through some of the incidents. There was one involving, that will quickly go through the main incident you may have seen on the stream, was the one involving who was the championship leader, Zeppedoodle, the McLaren driver, involved in an incident with Kingham. The Williams qualified on pole last time out by going through a completely different strategy to everyone else, starting on the soft tyres. But to be honest, from the commentator's position, it looked as though Kingham had just got his braking wrong and gone into the back of Zeppedoodle, but in the end it was determined that it was some slight connection issues on Zeppa's end, perhaps unsurprising coming all the way from Australia, so no penalty was given. And in the end the incident didn't cost him too much, could have been a lot worse. Another driver to receive a penalty last time out was Nexus Iceman, but it did not affect him whatsoever. He was so far ahead of the field that getting that 5-second penalty for okaying before the coordinator did made absolutely no difference to him. So he'll be delighted with the result last time out, and he is now only the 2nd person this season to win multiple races behind Zeppedoodle, and despite both of them having won multiple races, it's Aaron who's in the lead of the championship at the moment.
Yeah, you know, Aaron's only got 1 win this season, but he has got the most podiums with 5, so it kind of shows that you don't have to win races to be up there, just be consistent, and the result does come.
Yeah, someone who was hoping for a good result this time out after missing the French Grand Prix in his first race for the Red Bull team this season. It is Liam. Liam, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Not bad, not bad. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, pretty good.
Did you manage to catch any of the race last week? And what did you think of it if you did?
I didn't catch too much of the race, to be honest. I caught little bits here and there, but what I seen was good.
That's good then. Are you looking forward to a new challenge of being in Red Bull this time around?
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things turn out at Red Bull. It's a big step up from Renault, obviously, so I'm looking forward to seeing how I do.
Yeah, you've sort of done the opposite of Ricardo there, moving from Renault to Red Bull. Have you had a chance to talk with Gaza to get like a bit of a relationship built up and maybe share some setups between each other? Because that's a very important part of the team dynamic, is how you work with your teammate.
Yeah, I get on pretty well with Gaza, so I wasn't too hard to fit in, so I think all the Red Bull drivers tend to work together quite closely, so we all share information about strategy and that, so they've all helped me quite a bit, including Gaza.
Seeing as we're now in like the 2nd, 3rd of the season before we have a break in, I think just before Christmas, what would you say your aims are for this section of the season?
Definitely try to be more consistent with the results. I think this throughout the season. Just try and stay out of trouble and just keep the head down and bring home the best results possible.
Yeah, well, hopefully you can get a good start to your career with the Moton Keynes team tonight. Liam, thank you for joining us.
No problem, guys.
So yeah, that was Liam there. First race with the Red Bull team. It didn't go well for his teammate last time. I feel me and Brett put a bit of the commentator's curse on him because we said about how consistent Gazzaman is. He is still the highest person in the championship not to have had a podium, but he seemed to struggle a bit around the French circuit. But the Red Bull ring, as it's now known, you'd expect Red Bull to do well around here. I mean, this track named after themselves was the A1 ring, and of course the Austria ring way before that, when it was a much faster circuit. It's a very different track when you compare it to the circuit Paul Ricard, Leon.
Yeah, obviously Austria is the smallest in lap time wise, probably doing 1 minute 4s or something like that. But yeah, it's a very different track to France. France, you've got that very long back straight with a bit of a chicane in the middle, which is like the complete opposite to Austria. Austria is just, you've got one slightly long straight on the run up to turn 3, where you've got that little kink of turn 2, but France is mainly about top speed and fast corners, and Austria is more just adapted for cars which have got better aerodynamics.
Yeah, that middle sector especially. DRS will play a huge part here with 3 DRS zones. Do you think it's a bit too overpowered perhaps around the circuit? Because if you get within a second heading up towards turn 1, chances are you're going to have a fantastic opportunity at some point before turn 4 to get a move done.
Yeah, the one DRS I think personally they should get rid of is going to be the start finish straight one, because I don't think there's enough of that straight to go for a move, and no one really goes for it in the first place. The one up into turn 3 is where I think people might go for it if they're close enough, but if they're maybe a couple of car lengths back, they'll probably stick back behind, try and get a better exit in the car in front, and yeah, into turn 4, which is where we will probably see most of the overtaking done, unless it is wet, which is a whole new complexion.
Yeah, just where I expect to see a bit more crazy action around here. That middle sector as well can give cars opportunity sometimes with the way it flows to just get a run around the outside, and you can quite easily find yourself eaten up. But I have to say I agree with you, Leon. Turn 1, the straight's not really long enough, and the braking zone not really hard enough to give you a real chance to overtake. Expect to see track limits being a big bugbear for some of the drivers, especially in qualifying around that part of the circuit. And also turns 9 and 10, see a lot of cars in real life getting it wrong around there and losing various bits of bodywork, so the drivers will have to be careful through those corners tonight. Should be a good race then, Leon. Do you think if you were setting up your car for this track, would you go for the straight line speed, or would you try and add a bit more downforce on to give you better braking performance and a much better chance in that middle sector?
Probably the second option you said, more braking and a bit more wings aerodynamics, because yeah, there's 3 DRS zones, which is good and it's needed for straight line speed. The corners is where you're really going to gain the time, and the DRS, if you get close enough through turn 3 or even through turn 1, the DRS is going to give you a big boost and that slipstream, so then the difference in wings shouldn't really matter and you should be able to get the move done.
Yeah, and of course if you have more wing on, the more effective DRS will be for you as well, so expect to see plenty of action tonight. We're just waiting on one more driver to turn up to the lobby, then we should be all good to go. Quickly run through the top 3 of the results from last week. So it was Nexus Iceman who took the victory despite getting that 5-second penalty. Eskimats in the McLaren second, and Riley Bays third. With how that's changed the championship standings, Aaron took the lead. His 4th place was good enough for that, but he's only 5 points ahead of Zeppadoodle, who recovered from his incident. And Nexus Iceman just 22 points behind Aaron as well, so looking very close at the top. And then you've got Eskimats in 4th position. We'll go through some of the race premium drivers as well. You've got 3 of them all on 48 points, extremely consistent between the race premium drivers. That's Foggy, Gazaman and Ivan. Boris, who made his debut last time out, finished in 8th place, so he's now got 4 points. His new Renault teammate, Charlie said that, only on 2 points. And then at the bottom of the championship, Thunder Phoenix with 0 points, and with Norwich City joining him as the new driver. Neither of the Alfa Romeos have any points, but that championship battle is looking very close at the top, and Aaron's consistency seems to just be doing it for him at the moment.
Yeah, consistency is key. It's better than getting probably a race win and then have a bad race win, bad race. As Aaron has perfectly shown, he's got the most podiums, so he's consistent in that sense, with only the 1 win. Don't want to count out Iceman as well. He's only 22 points off of Aaron, so got to watch out for him as well.
Yeah, we'll just run through the constructors quickly. McLaren have a 4-point lead over Ferrari, helped to retake the lead in that Constructors' Championship, no doubt by Estimat 2nd place. Mercedes find themselves a further 48 points behind. Racing Point leading the midfield battle in 4th, and it's fairly close between Williams, Haas and the Red Bull team. Renault and Toro Rosso not too far behind, and Alfa Romeo on 1 solitary point at the moment, but they'll be hoping that can change tonight.
Yeah, being sat on 1 point whilst the rest of your rivals are 30 odd, 40 odd points in front isn't great, but hopefully now with drivers who I believe are here, only one of the Alfa Romeos are actually here today, hopefully they can try and boost their points tally up and maybe try and catch Toro Rosso and Renault. Yeah,
it is the first race that Norwich City has been here, so he'll be hoping for some good performances tonight. As always, feel free to comment in the chat who you guys think can win today. Can Aaron extend his lead in the championship? Can Zeppa recover from last time out? Will Nexus Iceman get a chance to recover back in the championship? Or will we see someone else take a victory this season? We will have to wait and see. Qualifying is just about to get underway.
Yeah, qualifying's probably could be the most challenging part, I think, of Austria. As you mentioned before, people do push to the limits, and track limits around this track is pretty strict compared to others. Main points would probably be turn 1, probably second to last corner and final corner as well. People trying to run a little bit further wide to try and get a better exit, but the game is pretty strict in that sense, so the drivers have got to be quick and also be smart in keeping in the track limits.
Yeah, strict corner cutting used, of course, so anywhere really where they put 4 wheels over that white line, chances are the lap will be invalidated. And a lot of the challenge in one of these 18-minute qualifying sessions is making sure you can get a banker lap in early on and not putting too much pressure on yourself. It does look a very overcast Spielberg at the moment.
Yeah, well, I was looking at that. Like, it does look like rain could potentially happen, but obviously we'll have to see. 18 minutes is quite a long time. Rain can happen, but we'll have to see what the drivers come out on tyres wise.
Yeah, you can see there on the screen, most of the drivers on the softs at the moment, whether that is just that they haven't changed yet, because you'd expect mediums tend to be the tyre most people go out for in qualifying, as we see one of the Williams there heading out. I believe that would be Kingan heading out. Last week's pole sitter involved in a few incidents and didn't manage to get any points, so we'll see whether he's going for a glory run once again on those soft tyres. And you never know if it rains in the race or there's a safety car, could work starting on them soft tyres.
Yeah, soft tyres obviously they are the quickest, but they do degrade the most. Depending on the weather, to be honest, we don't know. It is going to be a surprise, and as you have said, as Charlie said, that has been disqualified for blocking the pit lane.
looking at his car, it doesn't seem as though he was doing anything untoward there, so I'm not sure what that was for, but disastrous start to qualifying for the Renault driver. He is out of qualifying already and will be starting at the back of the grid.
Yeah, one person that will benefit is Norwich City, as Renault are, I believe it's 8th or 9th in the constructors, so one of Norwich City's rivals for the constructors going to be starting at the back of the grid. Could give him a little bit of a boost as Kingen starts his lap.
Yeah, Kingen heading around now, just going up towards turn 3, keeping it nice and tidy through there, short shifting to avoid wheel spin, opening the DRS as we head now down towards turn 4. Quite a tricky braking zone as you head downhill. It's very easy to run wide, but I think he's just taking it a bit easier than he would on a full-on pushing lap, just to make sure he gets a clean timing. Then through this twisting middle sector, keeping it wide for turn 7, then you flat through turn 8, barely even a corner over the crest of the hill. A bit of an awkward pit lane entry here in Austria, you can see on that right hand side, through turn 9 and braking hard into turn 10. Again, the track falls away from you there, so it's very easy to run wide, and across the line Kingen comes in a 1:05.861, the first fast lap in this qualifying session.
Yeah, it is indeed. Obviously we don't know if that's quick or slow at the moment, and we've instantly been given a response there from SD Mats as Gazamon's left. We could be having a restart, I'm not sure, but he has gone top with a 1:04.9, and there's, oh, I just saw a McLaren spin off in the background. Who was that? Zappadoodle's round at turn 1.
This is not gone to plan for Zappadoodle. Nexus Iceman carrying on his form from last week, 1:04.7, so looks like a lot of these drivers are going for the softs. He's left the session as well, so I'm beginning to wonder if a restart is happening here.
Yeah,
there's quite a few drivers leaving the session.
Yeah, now Norwich City is retired. I think it is going to be a restart, because I think Liam left the session just as qualifying was starting, so we could be having a restart for that. But I think until we get told anything, I think, yeah, everyone's leaving now, so I think that could be a restart.
Yeah, so Liam and Charlie said that, we'll be delighted with that. Nexus, Iceman and SD Matt, not so much.
No, but it is, in a sense, a few of these drivers might actually carry on and do this for a little bit more. It does give them maybe an extra 5 minutes or so, or a lap at least, for a bit of practice. So for a few drivers, it could be a bit of help.
Yeah, trying to squeeze in as much practice as possible. Can't really blame them really for doing that.
No, I think we might want to hop ourselves out of the lobby whilst everyone else is. And then we'll have to wait for an invite that will come pretty soon.
Yeah, just had mine, so hopefully, Leon, you'll get one soon, otherwise this could be very interesting if we have to try and do radio commentary for the rest of the race.
Sorry for the blue screen, and I haven't got an invite yet.
It's just the way the world works at times.
If anyone in the stream was wondering why the stream was up probably a couple of minutes late, PSN was being a bit of an issue party-wise. It was struggling for connection between me and Luke, which we can't really do anything about, but luckily we can hear each other now.
Yeah, always good being able to hear us. I have turned up the mic slightly, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me better as well, and everyone seems to be rejoining the lobby now, so soon qualifying should get underway once again.
Yeah, I'm back in now, so everyone's practically in the lobby. I think we're missing one person, or I think we've got enough, so yeah, we might be back underway for qualifying sooner than we thought.
Yeah, I think a few more drivers may end up annoyed if qualifying ends up being wet this time around, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously not able to tell what the weather is. Should it be pretty easy for the drivers to just reset now and try and ignore what happened in that qualifying session? Because we saw a few make a mistake.
Yeah, mainly Zappadoodle, because he was the one who I saw in the background spin off coming out of turn 1, so we'll hopefully want to put that behind him pretty quickly and just focus now for what this should be the actual qualifying session, and should be able to nail a few laps in.
Yeah, hopefully. Just waiting on the drivers to ready up now, and that is starting to happen. So take 2 for qualifying should be underway in about a couple of minutes. Hopefully we'll see what can happen this time around. And of course, a few of the drivers are warmed up, so I expect them to go a bit harder early on now, because they don't want to take it too hard though if they make a mistake. But say most parts of the track, there is a generous amount of runoff area here, so turn 1 maybe, if you get a bit of oversteer on the exit, that's probably where you're most likely to do any damage, and perhaps turn 10, the final corner as well.
Yeah, this track is pretty generous with the runoffs. Turn 1, as you said, yeah, a bit of oversteer could do it. If you do push your luck a bit too hard into turn 1, it's pretty rare, but you could spin off and go onto the wall on the pit exit. But that is pretty unlikely. You've got turn 9, the inside curb, that could catch a few people out if they're trying to attack it a bit too much, and it might spin them off. But luckily for everyone there, there is no wall in the vicinity, so yeah, the only wing damage or any kind of damage we will probably see is between the drivers themselves.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll manage to keep it clean. Wouldn't want to see any damage done in qualifying. Peter Parker got a penalty, 5-place grid penalty in France for a collision with Aaron, which even Aaron said wasn't Peter Parker's fault. So sometimes the game can be a bit harsh with penalties in qualifying.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, a slight tap if someone's trying to let someone else through, and there's a slight, like, I don't know, wheel bang or whatever. The game is pretty strict on that, and it does instantly reward out, well, not reward, give you penalties, which you can't really go against it because it's what the game's been designed like. But yeah, I think if you do get a 5-place grid penalty, you've just got to put your head down and just focus.
Yeah, he did do well last time out, as I mentioned earlier. 5th place for Peter Parker, which I think might be his best result. No, he has had a podium? Yeah, he has had a podium early on in the season, but apart from that, his 2nd best result of the season, and a good way to start this second part of the season, as qualifying is now underway with all 15 drivers ready. Hopefully things will go better for Charlie said that this time, and will next exercise be able to continue the pace he showed in the earlier session. We will have to wait and see. Next 18 minutes will tell us who will be on pole position.
Yeah, and the weather has changed significantly. It was very overcast in the first qualifying session. Meanwhile, in this one, it is sunny and blue skies, so the drivers might be relieved that there's no chance of rain for what it looks like.
Yeah, quite a few of the drivers are going out early on. Normally you do a bit slower than this, but a lot of cars taking runs early on. Norwich, Liam, Boris, Kingan, Dazayek and a few others heading out of the pit lane, so not wasting any time getting started in this qualifying session.
Yeah, most of the drivers are still on softs. There's a few on mediums, and you've got Azamata, who is actually on a set of hards, so I don't know what he is thinking strategy wise. He could be just getting used to the track on the set of hards, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you do often see drivers, well, I've tended to notice it on a few different leagues that I've commented in, that drivers tend to start the qualifying session one step harder than the tyres they want to set their fastest lap on. So it's very rare to see this many cars on the soft tyres early on in a session. So they must feel pretty confident with tyre wear to be using them this early on to go for fast lap times.
Yeah, whereas Norwich City is the first one to start a lap time, and actually did get a bit of a tow there off of Gazaman, I think it was, going into turn 3, and he's actually going to get another tow off of the Haas in front. So Norwich City here, even though he's probably not asked for it, is getting a bit of a helping hand.
Yeah, that help could very quickly become a hindrance, so you don't want to be too stuck behind a car through this section. It's not that the game is fantastic at modelling dirty air, it just puts you off a bit when you're this close to a car because you're not sure what they're going to do. So a bit of sliding there from Norwich as he lights up the rear tyres coming through turns 7 and 8, very committed through 9, left a bit of a gap though on the exit of the circuit, and again there, what time can he do? So 105.7 and ran out of ERS at the end, so that probably cost him a bit of time.
Yeah, as you said, a bit wobbly through turns 8 and 9, not 8 and 9, 7 and 8, so obviously some improvement there, and he did have a Haas in front of him in the middle sector, which could have distracted him a little bit, so I think he's got a few improvements as people are starting to set their lap times now.
Yeah, a few cars coming round the final corner. Aaron, championship leader, one of them, he comes across the line now on those medium tyres, and it's a 105.8. Half a second faster than Liam, the only other car to be on the medium tyres, so just a 10th of pole position at the moment. That's a definite marker laid down by the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, you want to show your impression, and being up there on the front row of the grid, there's more double wave yellows in the middle sector, right at the start is pretty good, only being a 10th or a 10th and a half off of pole for the moment, but I think the gap might be a little bit more as Iceman's coming through the penultimate corner.
Yeah, let's see what Iceman can do. He is on the soft tyres, so you'd expect him to go faster. He did a 104 in the previous session, and again 104.698, a second faster than anyone else. You can't put all of that down to the soft tyres. That is just a great lap at the moment done by the Mercedes driver. He started this second part of the season in great form.
Yeah, he looks like he may be able to continue his form. Over a second pole for now, and Austria is not that long of a track, so to try and gain a second on your rivals on the shortest track lap time wise is very difficult. So Nexus Iceman has put himself in a really good position, but there is still 13 minutes left, so anything can happen.
Yeah, I'll just run through the order quickly then. Nearly 5 minutes gone in this qualifying session. Nexus and Norwich City are front row at the moment. Aaron starting third at the moment on those medium tyres, and it's Kingan, Peter Parker, 2 Red Bulls of Gazman and Liam, and Charlie said that having a better qualifying than last time, but he is 8th and last out of those that have set a time, as Daniel goes up to second in the Haas, but he's still half a second off the Mercedes driver.
Yeah, it does show how much of a marker Nexus Iceman has put down. You might now sit back perhaps and wait to see what other people can do. Bear in mind only 9 drivers have set a lap, so as Zeppadoodle does start a lap coming through turn 1 and does not spin this time like he did in the other session, so he's been able to put that spin behind him, so I think we should keep an eye on his lap.
Yeah, he's coming up now to turn 2 and 3. Turn 2 is really just a little kink that just about, I reckon, counts as a turn with the FIA. Then heading downhill once again through turn 4. There's a Williams of Keegan up ahead of him, maybe bringing back a few nightmares from last time out. The two of them did seem to spend a lot of that race tangled together, but this time the Williams is far enough ahead of them, and he'll have seen, I'm sure, what time Nexus Iceman has done, and he'll be trying to target that pole position, because Aaron has been the closest man in the championship at the moment, and we did say before last week it was looking as though it could be a 2-horse battle, but Nexus Iceman has definitely put himself into the equation. Zeppadoodle only 3rd at the moment, 105.366.
Yeah, I did see him in the middle sector correct his line a few times. I don't think he was very confident in the middle sector, so I think there's a few improvements there as Esti Mats breaks into the 1 minute 4s and is 3 tenths off Iceman, so McLaren are looking pretty good as they usually do.
Yeah, leading the Constructors' Championship at the moment and have a great chance to extend that lead tonight, with Aaron being the sole representative of Ferrari. And Esti Mats his teammate might be up in the championship battle at the moment, where he's only 48 points behind and has yet to win a race. Finished second last time out in France, and we're only just over a third of the way through the season, so I'm sure he has his own championship ambitions. It's probably too early in the season for the teammates to be talking about any potential championship tactics. Surely they've just got to try and race for themselves at the moment.
Yeah, and if a gap, or the gap between them does increase, then obviously in the next few races, as Ivan, well, 1 minute 4.7, just less than a tenth off Iceman. So when we were thinking Iceman's lap time was very good, drivers are starting to creep up and are almost up with him.
Yeah, perhaps a bit premature in saying that lap time was untouchable, because Ivan 73 thousandths off at the moment, hoping to recover from last week after he had an incident. I believe it was with Azamata on lap 1 that put both of them out of contention, spinning Azamata around and damaging the Haas driver's front wing. He'll be hoping for a good result tonight. Only had a podium so far in Azerbaijan, and I believe he won driver of the day there as well, so it's a great chance for him to climb his way up in the championship as well.
Yeah, putting yourself on the front row of the grid would not hurt. Aaron just started a lap but now has backed off, so I think he may have invalidated turn 1. So, and he's currently down in 10th place, which not exactly a great place to be. You don't want to start 10th. I would say 10th could be the worst spot to be, as you are, if it is dry, outside that window for fresh tyres. And he has invalidated this run, so he's putting himself against the clock perhaps on getting a representable lap time in to be up there with the front few.
Yeah, Azamata, the only man without a lap time, and he invalidated his first one on the hard tyres as well. He has now changed to the medium. Aaron, he's on the soft tyres in the Ferrari, so let's see what he can do this time around. Like you said, in 10th position. Azamata and Dazaic still in the pit lane, just over 8 minutes remaining. Next is Iceman still provisional pole, followed by Ivan, Estimat, Daniel, Norwich City doing well on his first time round, and Pete Parker becomes another man into the 1 minute balls. 104.912, good enough for third position at the moment. Yeah,
pretty good lap there from Pete Parker. Aaron once again has invalidated his lap time. It was at turn 1. He got a bit of oversteer and ran a bit too far wide on that curbing, so he's now in 11th, which for the start of the race isn't bad. He's not going to be up there with his rivals, but he would get a fresh set of tyres, so if he's struggling to get lap times in, he might want to aim for that P11 to start on a fresh set and maybe go for the alternate strategy.
Yeah, it is a strategy we've seen him do a few times before this season, but it looks like he's going again on them soft tyres. Next is Iceman going even faster, 104.577, so just over a tenth of a second improvement. Built a bit of a bigger gap between himself and Ivan. Now a lot of drivers will be heading back to the pits for their final runs in this qualifying session, and obviously being such a short track, Leon, in the final moments, finding a free space of traffic will be crucial.
Yeah, I do imagine that for the final runs people will back up, which is going to cause a Constantina effect for the rest of the drivers as Iceman leaves the session. Hopefully he can get back in soon, but yeah, traffic can be a problem considering it is a very short track, so the drivers will be fighting it out not only for pole position but for track position for the laps.
Yeah, Adam, we saw there 1.2 seconds slower than his fastest lap, but he seems to be... Is he heading to the pits this time around? He is indeed. I was going to say I'd be very surprised if he could try and bring any competitive time out of them soft tyres, because he is the fastest man at the moment to have set his time on the medium, so even half a second improvement on the softs puts him up with Zappadoodle, his big championship rival. Any more than that he'd be looking very good in qualifying, but he might go for that alternate strategy which he has made work before. Boris, he's just finishing his outlap, only his second race with one hub. He holds that magical 11th place at the moment. What can he do with 6 minutes remaining on these soft tyres?
Yeah, Boris currently in 11th, not obviously a pretty good position to be in. He might try and boost himself up into the top 10, as he is up by 2.5 tenths in the first sector, so that's a pretty good improvement there from Boris, and instantly with that kind of lap time would put him up into 9th place. So I think if he carries on with this kind of consistency throughout the lap, we could see him perhaps break into the top 5.
Yeah, it did show decent pace at points last weekend. Did manage to get points on his debut, already overtaken his teammate. Charlie said that in the championship. A few more drivers coming out on track now, just following Boris round for these final few corners. Being careful, not using full ERS, trying to keep something in hand to make sure you don't run out too early down this straight. That is very, very wide, and I'll be extremely surprised. Well, no, he hasn't invalidated it. He must have backed off enough, and he 4 tenths improvement there, most of that in that first sector. He must have absolutely nailed that sector, because it's only really one corner.
Yeah, he was up by 2.5 tenths in that first sector, so first sector really did boost him up. I think he may have gotten away with it with that final corner, running a little bit far wide, which probably would have cost him a little bit of time as well, because he did run pretty far wide. So I think Boris, as he's probably going to head back to the pits now, knows he can probably get maybe a couple of attempts improvement on that.
Yeah, an advantage of being a short lap, of course, is he does have a bit of time. 2 championship contenders, well, the main 2, Zeppadoodle and Aaron, were briefly together on track, but Zeppa heading to the pits. Will Aaron finally be able to set a valid lap time on these soft tyres?
We'll see. He needs to, and he is carrying on this time, so he actually may have not invalidated turn 1. He is leaving it pretty late to get a representable lap time in, and he is up by 1.5 tenths in the first sector, so at least this time we know he's not invalidated turn 1, but he did run a little bit deep into turn 3, which might cost him again.
Yeah, we'll have to see whether he decides to carry on this lap. Kingan has moved up into 5th place in the Williams, so perhaps showing that pole position last time out for him was not really a fluke. We thought it was just down to the tyres, but he's putting in a good performance so far tonight. Let's see, Aaron, he's now 6 tenths up, so that's going to bring him up to around about Norwich City. You'd expect him to find another tenth or 2 in this final sector, so I can't see him challenging for pole, but perhaps getting onto that second row of the grid is a possibility for the championship leader as he heads now towards the finish line. 104.791 does put him in 3rd position.
Yeah, he's really been able to boost himself, especially in that final sector. He was up by only 6 tenths, and he's been able to find about 4 tenths in that final sector, so it could show the comparison between the medium and the soft tyre, that through them final 2 corners, 3 corners or so, which is what the final sector is, you can gain a lot of time being on the quicker rubber.
Yeah, Peter Park has just headed towards the pits, as Norwich, so perhaps invalidated their lap times or trying something slightly different. Still 2.5 minutes remaining. Nexus, Ivan, Aaron, Peter Parker and SD Mats for top 5 at the moment. Nexus still with that slight bit of a gap, and he's still in the pits at the moment, so feeling fairly confident, I feel, that he may have done enough.
Yeah, I've just noticed that Ivan's going to have to make another trip back into the pit lane. He's got wing damage on his lap, so he's going to have to try and get in and out of the pits in a pretty short amount of time, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get another lap in now. He's got wing damage somewhere on his flying lap, and I don't think he's able to set another lap now.
Yeah, Norwich City retiring from the session, so 8th at the moment. Not sure if that's just him saying he's had enough of qualifying, or if there was a crash involved, but not able to see where that would have happened, and haven't seen any cars off the circuit as we run through the final sector, so maybe just happy with his work at the moment with sole Alfa Romeo driver in 8th position. I think Ivan, if he, well, I was going to say he'd have enough time to get back out again, but he's going to have to go out now and absolutely gun for it. Nexus Iceman's decided to head out, so he's just about going to have enough time to get round this circuit and set a lap time, but he's going to have to go pretty hard on this out lap.
Yeah, you don't want to really warm your tyres too much, but you just focus on Zeppadoodle as he is up by quite a bit of time as he's coming through the final 2 corners. See what the McLaren can do. He may be able to get himself up there. We'll see as he comes across the line. He does a 1:50, so he has actually lost a bit of time in that final sector. And 7th place compared to his rivals is not where he wants to be.
Yeah, I expected him to be at least up with his teammate after that, and it's so close that 4th to 7th place at the moment, covered by just over a 1/10 of a second. Ivan has managed to get out back on track again, but he's never getting around in time, so not sure what the point of this is for the Haas driver, because 20 seconds to go and he's only just come out of turn 3.
Yeah, he's not able to make it back, and I think that mistake, as Boris goes second with 1:04.7, that mistake from Ivan before to put himself in the wall somewhere has cost him dearly, and he's now probably going to start dropping down as Boris, with a very impressive lap, puts him on the front row.
Yeah, Liam, he's retired from the session, only got enough for 12 at the moment. Checkered flag is out, so Ivan, Aaron, Gazaman, Dazayek won't be able to set any more times. As a matter, he's one and only one on the medium tyres, only good enough for 14th at the moment, so not sure if there's much benefit on going out for that, because he has put an extra lap on them tyres. Charlie said that the tyres from the session now is Nexus Iceman able to improve with his 36 thousandths up at the moment. He's already set 2 laps that are faster than what anyone else has done. He might be able to make it a 3rd here.
Yeah, he's looking like he can. Very aggressive through turn 9, but it looks like he can get it to stick. We'll see what Iceman can do now. Coming across the line, it is a 1:04.4, so he's improved a little bit, and that is it. Everyone else has finished. So Iceman setting 3 consecutive fastest laps and is on pole.
Yeah, that is a bit ominous for the rest of them, but qualifying is one thing. You don't get any points for that. It's the race where it is all important, and with DRS being as powerful as me and Leon have mentioned, could be a very interesting 36 laps. Boris front row in only his 2nd start of the season. Aaron 4th place. Zeppadoodle will be disappointed with 8th, but such a short track that if you do make any mistakes, and we saw him correct the slide on an earlier lap, that losing a 1/10 of a second can have a massive effect on your lap time, or your position on the grid, I should say.
Yeah. Well, if we just exclude Iceman because he has got a relatively big gap, the gap from like 2nd down to, I think it was outside the top 10, was half a second, so if you make one little mistake it can cost you dearly.
Yeah, so just have a quick run through the standings. Nexus on pole position, over a 1/4 of a second back to Boris. Ivan and Aaron very close together in 3rd and 4th. Estimat's 5th, Peter Parker 6th, Kingan up in 7th, Zeppadoodle 8th, Daniel and Norwich City 9th and 10th. For 2 Red Bulls will be the first 2 drivers able to take fresh tyres for the start of the race. They are in 11th and 12th. Charlie said that is 13th. As a matter, sole man to qualify on those mediums in 14th. Last but not least, Dazayek in Vittorio Rosso, 15th position.
Yeah, I think one person did really well in that qualifying session is obviously Boris, putting himself on the front row of the grid. It is a very, very dry race from what it looks like, and I think this race is not going to be rain affected.
Yeah, any talk of saying the weather might play a factor, just ignore that. But maybe we're jinxing it now, actually, given the commentator's curse, and we could have a sudden shower towards the end of the race to spice things up as other drivers just pick their strategy and wait for the coordinator, most importantly, to ready up. You don't want to ready up early like Nexus did last time. Didn't cost him in the end, but it was a pretty close race, and 5 seconds could make all the difference.
Yeah, especially around this track, and guess who's readied up first? From looking at the top right, it looks like Iceman's readied up again. Yeah, 5 seconds around this track is very, very costly, because as we just saw in qualifying there, half a second was practically the entire grid. So 5 seconds is just obviously a lot more you can lose.
Yeah, especially if there is any safety cars towards the end of the race, because that will bunch all the field up as they're just about to head out for their formation lap. Yeah,
as we look at the tyres outside the top 10, obviously everyone inside the top 10 on a set of softs. You've got Gazaman, Liam, and this is going to be a bad pronunciation. Dazake, I'm not sure. They're all on the soft tyres, and you have got Charlie said that and Azamata who are on the mediums. So 2 drivers who are going for the alternate strategy.
Yeah, so expect them to be a bit slower to start with, but the pace to come towards them later in the race. A possible one-stop strategy from soft to hard, you'd expect for those. You'd expect them to try to do that, those that have started on these soft tyres. Charlie said that, and Azamata will definitely be going for a one-stop, changing to the hards a bit later on than everyone else. But can Nexus carry that pace on that he had in qualifying? Because if that's anything to show, he could run away with this race a bit, and that 5-second penalty again might not make too much difference.
Yeah, that is true, but it does all depend on the start. If he gets a bad start, obviously going into turn 1, it's pretty tough to get a move done into turn 1, especially off the start. But I think going into turn 3, if Boris is close enough to Iceman, I think he may go for it, because if Iceman's left on his own, he might build a gap.
Iceman just bunching up the field here, and if you've ever thought yourself, I want to do an Iceman impression, but not Kimi Räikkönen or the one out of Top Gun, check out our sponsors, Next Level Racing, for their range of steering wheel rigs and joysticks and flight simulator rigs. Use the code 1hub10 for a 10% discount.
Yep, I don't know who's... do you want to go for the race start or me? Just before it starts.
Leon, it's your first time in a while, the pleasure is yours.
Thank you. So as we get ready and just get a better camera angle, here we go, so the lights are on. We've got 2, 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And away we go for the start of the Austrian Grand Prix. It looks like a pretty good start there from Boris. He's alongside Iceman. He's got an awful start. He's been swamped by 2 cars going into turn 1. And it's actually Ivan who's taking the lead. Boris is going side by side with Ivan. We're going both with Iceman as they are going side by side, the top 2. And going into turn 3 now. Boris is later on the brakes and he has taken the lead into turn 3. Iceman was having a look, but is now about to lose a position to ESD Mats. Is there anything else happening down towards the back of the grid?
Well, Norwich City's managed to... It was 3 places, but him and Peter Parker are battling over that 7th place at the moment. Zeppedoodle has dropped a place as well, unsurprisingly. The 2 medium runners both dropping places, but a nightmare start for Nexus Iceman. That initial getaway didn't seem too bad. Must have just got too much wheel spin in the next phase. So what can Boris do? Leading in the race. Great start from him. Ivan managing to get up into 2nd place. Esteban's also gained a place.
We've got Charlie said that. Sorry about that. Charlie said that has spawned at, I believe, turn 8. I'm not too sure, but he is sideways. So it's not gone well for one of the Renaults. Meanwhile, the other Renault is leading the race.
Yeah, the whole grid being bookended here by the 2 Renault drivers. Can't see if he has got any damage to his front wing. Looks like he might have got away with that, so extremely lucky indeed if he has. But it's Boris, then Ivan, then Nexus Iceman is 3rd place. Some battles further down the field. Zeppedoodle and Norwich City now battling. We've got 4 cars here all squabbling for position. They're going 3 wide on the run down to turn 4. Zeppedoodle all the way on the outside of the contact again. It's all got a bit tight there, and Zeppedoodle is going to lose a place from Norwich City. Now he's got a better run not being involved in that battle. Zeppe's trying to hold it on the inside. Liam not too far behind this as well, but Peter Parker's definitely come out best in that. Norwich already getting himself a time penalty for multiple warnings, and we're only on the 2nd lap, so it could be a long race for the Alfa Romeo driver. But this battle is allowing them top 5 to escape.
Yeah, Norwich City also got wing damage. He got it off of, I think it was Zeppedoodle. Zeppedoodle ran out of road as they were going 3 wide. Norwich City tried to have a look at Zeppedoodle and they did come into contact. Oh, Zeppedoodle almost loses it coming out of turn 1 and loses a position instead. But as I was saying with Norwich City, he lost quite a lot of his front wing, so he's in for an early stop.
Yeah, in for an early stop. DRS is now enabled, and that has allowed Nexus to close right up to the back of Boris. The Renault is having to go defensive on the run down to turn 4, but he decides to leave that inside line open. Nexus says thank you very much. He is down the inside. Boris couldn't hold it on, and Nexus takes the lead on this race, having got past Ivan earlier on into turn 1. Pace of the Mercedes beginning to shine through a bit now, but can Boris and Ivan, and Estimates and Aaron as well, use DRS to just keep in contact?
Yeah, DRS is quite powerful around this track, considering there is 3 activation zones as Iceman actually loses the back end going into turn 9, so we're not pushing a bit too hard. But yeah, there is 3 activation zones, so... Oh, he's yellow flagged as well, Kingen. Oh, he's collided with someone, I don't know who it was, but he's off the track and someone else got damaged, I don't know who it was.
Jazaman has lost his front wing. Kingen getting himself a 5-second penalty there for severe contact, but it's way more than a 5-second penalty for Gazaman. He's going to have to go all the way round without a front wing as Boris takes the lead off of Nexus at the moment.
Yeah, pretty good move from Boris there around the outside of turn 3. Obviously the DRS has helped him a lot, and Iceman is too far back going into turn 4, so this could be a repeat cycle between the two for quite a lot of this first stint. They may just swap around through the DRS zones going up into turn 3 and turn 4, but as I thought Iceman would have got away if he had taken the lead, Boris mainly is putting up quite a good fight for Nexus.
Yeah, and how effective DRS is being shown by the fact that them top 5 have managed to pull away half a second on Pizza Parker throughout this lap. Some of that might be down to pace, but I imagine the majority is down to the fact that they've all got DRS. Pizza Parker a bit in a world of his own at the moment. Gazaman heading in to the pits, as did Kingen, so the Williams didn't get away without damage either. And we can see the train of cars here as Nexus not sure whether to attack or defend here from Ivan.
Yeah, Ivan, for what I've noticed in these first couple of laps, is he's very late on the brakes. So I think if he gets any sort of run, as Iceman's actually going to run on Boris coming into turn 4, once again, Boris leaving the door open into turn 4, and Iceman taking the lead once again.
Yeah, Iceman got a much better exit, definitely, than Ivan out of that corner, and Boris as well, getting a good run down the straight through that 3rd DRS zone and taking the lead of this race once again. But Boris staying very close to him, and he'll have plenty of chances with DRS. Gazaman coming out 13th after his stop, Kingen in 14th place, but it's still Nexus, Boris, Ivan, Estimates and Aaron, train of the cars in the top 5 at the moment.
Yeah, I think the Ivan, Estimates and Aaron are all just going to sit behind and watch these two battle. As what I'm noticing here between the top 2 is Boris has got the better wings, but Iceman's got the better straight line speed, as Boris is struggling here to keep up with Iceman, even with a bit of DRS. He might try it around the outside of turn 3, can't get it done. It's not a great exit from the Renault as he comes out of turn 3, so Boris there struggling to keep up with Iceman, even with DRS.
Yeah, so that could just be what Iceman needs. Ivan not really close enough that time around to challenge. Further back, Liam has caught up to Pizza Parker slightly, so we could see a battle soon for 6th and 7th place. And there's Zephydoodle leading from Daniel and Azamata, the first man on those medium tyres and the only man who's on them actually at the moment. Everyone who's pitted has gone onto them hard tyres, so Charlie said that was trying the alternate strategy and just got caught out by the lack of grip. And what can Azamata do with these tyres? Because over the next few laps, expecting to be quicker than these guys ahead of him.
Yeah, the softs at this point will still obviously have a bit of life in them, but I think in the next few laps, oh, Boris! Oh, sorry to raise my voice there. Boris is a big wobble coming out of turn 1. But yeah, as a matter on them mediums, and mediums at this point will probably be equaling the softs. So in the next few laps, expect Azamata to probably get past Daniel and Zephydoodle. 1 second.
Liam and Pizza Parker battling now down towards turn 4. Liam did get down the inside, but Pizza Parker getting the better exit. Is Liam able to fight back? No, he is not. And Aaron got a time penalty there for 3 seconds for multiple warnings, and he has just...
Right, I'm back. I apologise, you there? Oh no, he's left, so I think we've got a bit of connection issue there. I think he has left. As Pizza Parker gets back past Liam.
I'm not sure if that is an intentional.
Are you there? So we've lost connection with our co-commentator Luke. I think he's still in the party. Sorry for the blue screen. He is. He's just not in the lobby. And he's seemingly not speaking at the moment as Boris still struggling to get past Iceman as Liam and Pizza Parker go side by side into turn 3. And Liam gets the move done. Pizza Parker now has another DRS and gets a better run than the Red Bull. He's going to pull back to the outside for turn 4 and might get the move done even before turn 4. And Liam gets the move, keeps the position for now as they still go side by side. Pizza Parker keeping his front wing in there as he goes side by side through turn 5. And later on the brakes, Pizza Parker, almost cutting off Liam there going into turns 7 and 8. But yeah, good battle between these two as nothing has happened between the front couple. And sorry for the blue screen, but I'm going to have to try and invite my co-commentator back. Sorry about this, and maybe a long while for the blue screen because it does take a while. Hopefully, can get it sorted very soon. Alright, sorry about that, I'm back, and nothing has happened between the front few. As we've got Liam and Pizza Parker again going at it, and now we've got Zeppadoodle getting involved, and Zeppadoodle's got the move done on Pizza Parker. Pizza Parker's got no DRS, and here comes Azamat now down the inside. He's losing 3 positions in 1 corner, or 2 corners. That is absolutely diabolical news there for Pizza Parker, losing 3 positions in the space of 2 corners, and to no fault of his own, having no DRS. And now he finds himself in P9. And can I hear you now, Luke? As we've got your faction set to 3. Oh!
I sure hope so.
Oh! Someone's having his Zeppadoodle's off! And he's got wing damage. I think he's lost the back end somewhere. And I did see wing damage as Pizza Parker spun round.
Pizza Parker!
Yeah, he's round as well. Don't know what happened there. Calamity in that final sector. As Azamat has found himself up into P6 now somehow, but absolute carnage there in the midfield.
Zeppadoodle gone off Azamat and Liam back down the inside this time, and just fighting with Azamat. You'd expect the Mercedes to get the better exit, and he has done. He is back up into 6th position.
Yeah, here comes Liam though with DRS assistance down into turn 4. Azamata probably now got more grip. Oh, Liam just about leaving enough room for Azamata to stay side by side. Now coming into turn 6, and Azamata later on the brakes and will have the better run and is now staying in P6.
Yeah, Zeppadoodle in 8th at the moment, but he does have severe ring damage. Aaron coming into the pits, so the first of the front runners to head towards the pit lane. He was at the back of this train, so definitely worth trying the undercut. Nexus still holding off Boris, Ivan and Estimax at the moment. We'll see where Aaron comes out. I imagine he'll be quite a way down the field because we've got this huge battle going on involving all these cars. Pizza Parker, I think, got away without any damage from his spin. Aaron will come out in 11th place, but in clear air.
Yeah, that is a huge factor. He is about 5 seconds off Pizza Parker, which is kind of what he needs. He gets clean air to try and gain on the top 4. I think what he's also hoping for is for Boris and Iceman to perhaps battle a little bit. But I think Aaron, if you can get a good outlap going, could probably jump quite a lot of these drivers and maybe take the lead.
Yeah, that's what he will be trying for, but looks like he's definitely committed himself to a 2-stop strategy. We're extremely surprised if he can get 26 laps out of these medium tyres, especially in full-on running, as Boris also comes into the pit, so blocking up, leaving nothing to chance there. So Boris into the pit lane, trying to cut off this undercut attempt from the Ferrari.
Yeah, he's on a set of hard, so he'll be going to the end, so Aaron, if he can get out in front of him, will be fine, because he doesn't want to get stuck behind a driver who's on hard compound tyres. The difference between the tyres is quite a lot. We'll see where Boris is coming out. He's coming through turn 1 now, and he is out ahead of Aaron, and by actually quite a lot. So I think Aaron's actually lost time in that period.
Yeah, surprised by that. So Boris has track position. I expect Aaron to catch him up, but unless that Ferrari can make those tyres, as I said, last 26 laps, it's looking much better for the Renault driver. He's in the DRS of the Force India Pizza Parker. I can't see Pizza putting too much on a resistance, although he is trying. Locks up, skids. Ooh.
Wow, that was close.
And in the end, deciding to let the Renault by. Probably a wise thing to do, as Estimats, the only one to stay out on track of them front runners, because Ivan and Nexus Iceman into the pit lane.
Yeah, and Iceman, it's for a set of mediums, and so it is for Ivan as well, so perhaps he can make the mediums go. And Boris has got on a set of hards, and we'll see where he comes out. I think he'll come out in the lead. And there he is, coming into turn 1 as Iceman's coming out the pits, and yes, he does take the lead. What about Aaron? Aaron's going to come out side by side with Ivan, I think. Oh no, actually Ivan gets a bit of DRS from somewhere, so Ivan keeps that position.
Yeah, I don't know how Ivan managed to get DRS there. Unfortunately for Aaron, he didn't, so he stays in 8th position at the moment. Will be 5th, well 4th place I believe, well 5th, yeah, after all the pits have even themselves out. Just how long can Estimats make them soft tyres last? Aaron here battling with Ivan, but Boris provisionally in the lead at the moment, but on them hard tyres he can find it very difficult to keep these guys behind him.
Yeah, it's only Iceman now, as Ivan and Aaron are battling pretty hard. That Ivan's lost DRS to Iceman, so Aaron putting on the pressure is costing them both here of a chance to perhaps go for the lead of the race. And as you were talking about Boris, yes, Estimat's pits, Boris is going to struggle to keep Iceman behind.
Yeah, Iceman already closed it up. Alzamata now in the lead of the race. Started on them medium tyres, so he will be a good indicator perhaps for how these tyres will hold up. You'd expect those who have just pitted onto them to get more life out of them, of course, carrying less fuel, so less wear being put on the tyres for accelerating, braking and cornering, of course, but there's no real high-speed sections here, so perhaps that's why the medium tyres can last just a bit longer. And Nexus half a second behind Boris at the moment. Ivan a further 1.5 seconds back, and he's just about managed to hold off Aaron. And Estimats in the end came out behind that train, but he will have slightly fresher tyres than most of them, and 3 laps fresher than Aaron.
Yeah, 3 laps in fresher tyres can be quite a lot. Let's focus our attention though to the battle for P2, which will be provisionally P1, as Iceman is closing in on Boris. The gap is 4 tenths as we are coming onto the start-finish straight. And with this DRS assistance, even though it is very small, it's going to boost him a lot going into coming up into turn 3.
Yeah, so hopefully he'll be having a go this time around. Will Boris be forced to go defensive? Surely he's going to have to cover off that right hand side, but again leaves a bit of a gap. Nexus deciding not to go for it this time. He's tried it twice at least already on the Renault driver, but just that concertina effect, you sort of get Boris pulling away slightly under acceleration. He's going to have to be late on the brakes from Iceman. He's not able to do so this time, and Ivan has managed to catch these back up now.
Yeah, so Boris is doing pretty well defending wise on a set of hard compound, the hard compounded tyres, so I think Iceman's going to get a bit frustrated now as Ivan's been allowed back in, and Ivan is looking the quickest out of the 3 here. He's all over the back of Iceman now, so I'd watch out for Ivan to see if he can get both of them.
Yeah, pushing very hard through turn 8, kicking it up, a bit of gravel there on the exit of that corner. They're even catching up to some traffic as well. Charlie said that ahead, so he might be able to help his team out a bit. SD Maps with the fastest lap of the race. Nexus just pulling out the slipstream slightly. I think just to remind Boris that he is there. SD Maps must have been pushing hard. He's now got a penalty for multiple warnings. Boris again leaving that inside line open. Nexus saying thank you very much. Is he able to do it on the brakes? He'd expected to have more performance. Boris tries to hold it out, gets a bit of wheel spin. Will that give Ivan a chance? Boris has DRS as well, as does Nexus. Charlie said that, pulling well out of the way. Ivan late on the brakes, down the inside, into turn 4, and he's got the move done.
Yeah, very good move there from Ivan, not very opportunistic. Saw that Boris had a very bad run coming out of turn 3 with that wheel spin, and seized what is P2 for when Azamata pits, and now can put on a challenge for Iceman.
Yeah, that is going to be crucial, I think, getting past at that point, because the next overtaking opportunity for the Ferrari driver, that's fairly straightforward, should be turn 3. And you see Boris running wide there. He's already dropped 6 tenths now to Ivan, and a second in this lap to Nexus, who is just 6.3 seconds behind his teammate. And we have a Mercedes 1-2 as we're nearly at the halfway point here in the Austrian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it is a Mercedes 1-2. Obviously, it will be different once Azamata pits, but Azamata will actually slot into, I believe, P6. Because there's quite a big gap from P6 to P7. So Azamata, who will probably pit for softs in about maybe 10 or so laps time, if he can make the mediums last, isn't in that bad of a position.
Yeah, well, he has got the green spanner on the moment on his telemetry, so that suggests he might be coming in a lot sooner than we think, so maybe not able to make the mediums last. Peter Clarker gets a 10-second penalty for that corner cut in and has got it completely wrong at turn 3.
Yeah, I don't know how he's ended up doing that, and he's got no wing damage, so he may have spun somewhere and cut the corner, but yeah, very strange, and is luckily able to continue though.
Yeah, Azamata in the end deciding to stay out for a bit longer. I was going to say, I think if he was only going to do 17 laps on the mediums, doesn't bode well for those who are hoping to get them to last until the end, but he's now just 5.4 seconds ahead of his teammate, and Aaron yet to get past Boris. Boris not in DRS zone, and this is going to be the best chance for the Ferrari driver, I think, heading down towards turn 3. He's going to have more grip, and he gets that move done. Aaron up into 4th position now in the Ferrari.
Yeah, Boris is going to look for it to turn 4, but Boris is really struggling for traction out of turn 3. I don't know if he's just putting the foot down too quickly and he's getting a bit eager, but it's costing Boris. He's lost a few more positions now as there's a battle going on for P7.
Yeah, we've got a Daniel, Zeppadoodle and Dazayek. Daniel just leading these at the moment. Zeppadoodle, another driver to try for them hard tyres, having to pit earlier, and he's gone down the inside into turn 4. A bit of wheel banging between the Haas and the McLaren. They're side by side. Daniel almost catching Dazayek out there, and a bit more contact between them.
Yeah, that was very close there, but Zeppadoodle will not mind because he is up into P7, and it's not gone well for Dazayek or Daniel.
Yeah, looking at the way it is at the moment, P6 might be the best Zeppadoodle can hope for them, with his two main title rivals 2nd and 4th at the moment, and both pretty much guaranteed to gain a place. You'd expect he'll be hoping that he can close in on them and that his hard tyres can last till the end, which shouldn't be a problem for himself or Boris. Azamata still out there, just over halfway now, 4.2 seconds. The gap back to Iceman. Ivan within at DRS range, but then you've got a bit of a gap opened up because Ivan got stuck behind the Renault of Boris. He's outside of the DRS range and he might find it hard to catch up now. Yeah,
I think it may require Ivan and Iceman to battle, but if we look at Azamata's tyres, if we focus our attention to him and then compare it to Iceman, they are looking in pretty good condition, so he's looking pretty fine on the mediums, and from what it's looking like, we'll definitely be able to make it to the softs.
Yeah, and that should mean, of course, that all those who went for the mediums earlier on, a one-stop should be fairly straightforward for these drivers. Zeppadoodle and Daniel still fairly close together.
He's gone for a move, sorry, down to the inside into turn 3. Iceman with a good run out of turn 3 though, but Ivan will have DRS going into turn 4. Will he be a bit too far back? We'll have to wait and see. But into turn 4, yes, he's a little bit too far back, but it's showing that Ivan is not afraid to put his car down the inside, even if he's a few car lengths back.
Yeah, Bobbies is managing to keep with Aaron, which is, I'm finding slightly surprising, and Estimats hasn't been able to get past him yet, but that battling could just be what Aaron needs, as you said, to help catch up. As a matter, still looks as though he could be good for coming out in around about 6th or 7th place after his pit stops.
Yeah, Aaron has gained quite a lot of time on this lap. He's gained about 4 tenths on these two in front. So these two battling, as I did mention a few laps ago, is helping the other 3 to catch back up. And Ivan is fairly close now, so Iceman is struggling. Boris picks up a 3-second time penalty. But here comes Ivan. Will Iceman defend? But actually Ivan switches to the inside when it looks like he's going to go to the outside. Iceman braking late into turn 3, running on the curbing, the wheel bang. And it looks like Ivan's going to have the DRS, so Iceman's going to struggle to keep up with him straight line speed wise, and Ivan is up into P2. Iceman though back down the inside into turn 4, but Ivan should have the better exit out of turn 4, and he does, and Ivan takes provisional lead.
Yeah, so Ivan now in the lead of the race, and again that's allowing Aaron to catch up. This is 2.6 seconds between 2nd and 6th. At the moment, we're definitely in for a fascinating end to this race. Zeppadoodle is still keeping Daniel behind him. They seem to have dropped the Zayek at the moment, just running on his own in 9th. Then Liam 10th, Norwich City 11th, Peter Parker, Kingan, Gazaman, and Charlie said that your final few runners.
Yeah, Aaron has been able to get in that DRS, so they've all been brought back into this now, and Iceman I think is struggling a little bit. He has got that straight line speed advantage, so we could see him go for it into turn 3 here, as he is gaining instantly on that ass. He's going to have to go around the outside, and Ivan brakes pretty late. Pretty nice helicopter shot here, but around the outside he's getting a little bit of a squeeze there by Ivan, but Ivan with a pretty good run, and Ivan's actually been able to steal the DRS off of Iceman, and he's able to keep the position.
Yeah, that worked out brilliantly for Ivan there, getting the DRS. Bovis did drop back slightly, ran wide out of turn 1, but Esquimat's still not able to get ahead, and I think the McLaren's going to want to get onto the back of this battle pretty soon, because it's looking as though it's going to be for the race lead, and now just 2.5 seconds behind Azamata. I'm sure Ivan will be hoping that lead Mercedes gets out of the way before he catches these guys up, and indeed Azamata is heading to the pits now.
Yeah, it's a pretty early stop for the softs, to be honest, but if he is feeling as though their mediums are dying out and there is a set of softs going on, that is relief to Ivan, but probably I'm surprised he didn't stay out for a few laps longer, because if he's in a party talking with Iceman, there could have been a few team orders there to try and help the Mercedes that is fighting for the win.
Yeah, and Iceman is very close again through turn 3, but he's staying behind this time, making sure that he gets the advantage of the DRS. Ivan getting a fantastic exit though out of that corner. Estimats has managed to get past Bobby, so that's the McLaren into 4th place, and that great exit meant Nexus and Aaron weren't able to do anything about it, so it looks like the Haas is going to be leading for at least 1 lap more. Yeah,
as we've got a battle between Daniel and Zeppadoodle. Zeppadoodle's got DRS on Daniel, so to get back past him. This is hards versus mediums, so Daniel's obviously the quickest at the moment, and Zeppadoodle keeps the position for P7.
Yeah, Daniel just briefly showing the warning there for having low fuel, so he may have to do some fuel saving in the second half. Ivan doesn't have that warning. I'm sure he's glad he doesn't, because he can't afford to do any at the moment. 13 laps remaining. We still have all the runners in this race as well, which is a great achievement. It's not the easiest track. We have seen a few spins, but no one suffering any terminal damage at the moment. Nexus not close enough into turn 3. Will he be able to try it this time into turn 4 and get a better exit than last time? Bit of a wheel spin from Ivan, but again the acceleration on the Haas looking pretty good, but is he close enough this time? Nexus, he might go for a lunge, not deciding it this time, and Ivan has dropped a bit back from these, so I'm not sure if he's made a slight mistake for Ferrari.
He may have, because I think Mats has caught up a little bit as well, so a slight mistake from Aaron has cost him huge as he's dropped out the DRS. He's back in it now. So I'm guessing Aaron's aerodynamic advantage with his setup is helping him a little bit, as he's just been able to pull himself back into DRS range.
Yeah, so maybe putting a bit more downforce on the car, and that might stop him sliding the tyres as much, which could be a help with tyre wear at the end of this race. He has got the oldest tyres out of these front runners. You can see the tyre life on the screen there. Azamata's only 10 seconds behind Boris. He's coming out on them fresh soft tyres, so he could definitely be one to watch towards the end of this race. You'd expect him to get the point for the fastest lap in the top 10. Brilliant timing from Azamata to come across the line, a 107.1 at the moment. And the fastest lap for those drivers outside the top 10 would currently be going to Peter Parker with a 1 minute 8.7, but expect Gazaman on fresh mediums to challenge for that.
Yeah, actually, as you've literally just mentioned that, Norwich City and Charlie said that have both pit. I believe both for softs. Charlie said that's on a set of softs. Norwich City will have to wait because it's not appeared yet. They're both on softs, so them two might be actually the ones fighting it out for the fastest lap outside the top 10.
Yeah, we've got battles going on for points outside the top 10. Of course, we've got a big battle going on for the race lead still. Ivan holding off Niceman at the moment. Ivan has caught back up. 2 seconds the gap back to Estimax, who seems to be having to defend from Boris, the only man out of these front 5 to have gone for those hard tyres. Will the race come a bit more to this Renault driver in the final few laps? He won't have to do as much harsh tyre saving as the others. Azamata 9 seconds back off that battle, so with 11 laps to go, perhaps he will fight back as well. And Boris has got past SD Max before they've even got to turn 3.
Yeah, quite a comfortable move there from Boris, and ESD Max now might just stick behind us. Boris looks like he may have got a bit of pace back. I was slightly on board with the leaders as Iceman looked pretty close. He was side by side with Ivan actually going into turn 3, but Ivan under the brakes, or on the brakes should I say, he's just outbroke Iceman by an absolute ton and was able to keep the lead, so Iceman might not be confident on the brakes.
Yeah, Ivan has put in some pretty late moves and managed to make them stick. Iceman tried one of them earlier, but the Haas holding on around the outside at turn 4 a few laps ago. Now there's going to be 10 laps remaining as they cross the finish line, and it is anyone's guess who is going to be victorious in this race. I'll just have a quick look at the penalty situation for these top 3 drivers. Ivan has 2 penalties at the moment. Nexus Iceman has kept it clean, but will, I imagine, be getting another 5-second penalty for pressing OK too early. And Aaron, at the moment, he also has 2 3-second penalties.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're a repeat offender for readying up early if you get an extended penalty. I'm not too sure, but it's definitely going to be a 5-second penalty, which could
That is true, you might actually get 10 seconds, so not looking too great for Nexus Iceman if that is the case. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself if he's done it once again.
Yeah, because I think I did read something earlier on in the season for repeat offenders, which I think you get double the penalty, so it could be a 10-second penalty coming Iceman's way, which then does throw the race right out the window, because Boris, I don't know his penalty situation, he's not that far behind, and with there being 8 or 9 laps to go, considering he's on a set of hard compound tyres, I think he'll catch up to these front 3.
Boris also has 2 penalties. Estimax only has 1. So if he can get within 3 seconds of those front 2, as Boris front 3 I should say, Boris runs very wide, he could be right in there for a chance of getting a victory in this race.
Yeah, it is anyone's game apart from Iceman, so what it looks like as the battle for 4th is continuing. Boris late on the brake, shoving the SD Max off the track. Boris has got the DRS, so he will keep the position for now, but this is losing them both time to the top 3.
Yeah, all this battling, allowing the top 3 to pull away and allow Azamata to catch up ever so slightly. I think it's going to be a challenge, actually, for him to get onto the back of these top 5. Zeppadoodle seems to be pulling away a bit from Daniel now as these hard tyres come into their own, and maybe that's why Boris is all of a sudden looking so good. I'm surprised Iceman and Aaron haven't really had a go at challenging for an overtake at the moment. Ivan doing very well to hold off as we're heading on to these final few laps now. Just 8 laps remaining. Kingan getting himself a penalty there for multiple warnings as he is down in 12th. Back of the field seems to be fairly spaced out, so it is really these front 5 where all the battling is going on at the moment.
Yeah, it is. Iceman is struggling now in that first sector to keep up with Ivan. Oh, there's a bit of a connection issue there as Azamata picks up a penalty, which might cost him. Oh, Ivan with a bit of a back-end wobble. His wheel spin a bit too much and there's a bit of connection issue, so I don't actually know where the drivers are, but Iceman around the outside of turn 4, and Ivan's going to have to try and keep it down the inside. Oh, Iceman's touched on the curb. I'll go over with Aaron as he's got the perfect view of this. And Ivan is able to keep the lead. Iceman wasn't able to get it around the outside of turn 4.
He's giving it a try. He's showing his hand here to Ivan, and Ivan just seems to be able to take everything with ease. Ivan just hanging back. Thought he might be able to take advantage if there was any contact there between Ivan and Nexus. I think there was a bit of wheel touching between the two of them, but not sure if that was down to the connection issues that Nexus seems to be having, or whether it was an actual contact. But no damage done, and all that has allowed Boris and Estimac to catch up slightly. Boris back to within 2 seconds of these as he runs wide once again. He's cutting it fine with track limits and fuel, the Renault driver, at the moment, but Nexus still not able to get past Ivan into turn 3, and this time he gets a bit sideways coming out of that corner. Could still be close enough to go for a lunge down the inside, perhaps into turn 4, but too far back, and Aaron also too far back to do anything. So I'm hoping this doesn't turn into one of them races where we seem to like threaten loads of overtaking action but never quite get any.
Yeah, they seemingly keeping a relative distance to each other until turn 3, where they seemingly compact, but they're not close enough. Ivan is doing enough in this middle sector and final sector, I think, just to build enough of a gap to Iceman. And Iceman is struggling. He's all race. He has struggled in sector 3, especially in them fast corners with grip. And Boris picks up another penalty, so that pretty much rules him out of contention. And here comes Iceman. He looks closer than he has been before.
Yeah, Ivan is probably going to have to stay defensive maybe into turn 3, unless he decides to drop back and let Nexus go down the inside. Ivan is pushed slightly wide, but will he have DRS this time? No, it's Nexus who gets the DRS, so that's given Aaron a fantastic opportunity to try and get round the outside of the Haas in turn 4. It's not going to be 2 places lost in 2 corners, but expect this battle to run all the way around for turn 5. Fantastic undercut on the exit there. Ivan has the inside line though for turn 6, and all this battling is just going to allow Nexus to get away, of course.
Yeah, it is. It's also allowing Boris and SD Matson, as you mentioned before, SD Matson is the one with the least amount of penalties here, and I do think he's within 3 seconds of these two that are battling, so can't rule him out either.
Yeah, he was second last time out in France. As it stays as it is, after the race and the penalties are handed out, he would be second at the end of the evening, but of course, unless the game was lying to us, we are expecting Nexus to get a 10-second penalty for readying up too early, which will be bitterly disappointing for him, especially after the pace he showed in qualifying, as Aaron got very close to the back of Ivan then.
Yeah, I was on board with Aaron there, yeah. I was on board with Aaron there, and he got awfully close. Ivan's usually the one braking late, but Aaron seemingly was able to outbrake him, and luckily didn't hit the back of him.
Thankfully, no damage done, because you wouldn't want to see any done at this stage of the race and ruin any possible chance of getting in the points, because penalties would probably drop these way behind Azamata. Zephyrdoodle they should be safe for, so... Oh! Boris has lost it! And
oh!
Estimat's into the back of him!
Oh no! Oh, and he's hit Azamata as well! Oh no, it's a big collision between the 3 of them! And they've all got wing damage, I think. Azamata is going to carry on with whatever wing he has left, which is none of it. Oh no, Calamities, and Boris is carrying on, and he's got wing damage as well, I think. Or actually... Yeah, he's got a little bit of wing damage, but that is calamity between the trio.
Yeah, just all... I saw Boris just slide there. Estimax couldn't avoid them, and then I think as he's come back onto track, Azamata has hit him. He's missing pretty much the entirety of that left-hand side of his front wing, so... Depending on the damage Boris has got, he's also got similar damage on his front wing. There might be enough time for them to stay out and not be caught up. Zephydoodle is 10 seconds behind Boris, but pretty much puts whatever we said about penalties. It makes a big difference here because Nexus has that 10-second possible penalty hanging over him, but Ivan and Ammon have 6 seconds as well, so if he gets a bit of a run on Nexus, he could still win this race.
Yeah, oh, as Aaron runs off the track at the final corner and gets a not a corner cutting penalty, but a track limits penalty, took too much of the curve on the inside and went wide and got a penalty for it, so this race has now swung Ivan's way as there are 3 laps to go.
3 laps to go. Nexus leading out on track. Ivan second, Aaron third. Azamata getting himself a penalty with that severe damage on that front wing. I'm not sure if it's worse than Boris's or not. I can't really tell. I think he is missing a bit more of that front wing than Boris. So perhaps a chance for that Renault driver to get up into form. Zephydoodle not really catching up at all. Estimat's expecting to set the fastest lap in 8th place at the moment on them soft tyres, and it just shows how quickly it can change.
Yeah, and there are still 2 laps to go. Anything else can happen as well, but yeah, I think Estimat's was perhaps on for a win, definitely a podium, and now it has been completely thrown out the window as we've got a battle for P10 going on for the last points position. Oh, as Peter Parker's gone off the track, outbroke himself into turn 3 and has lost a position.
Yeah, losing a position. Charlie said that there, showing off the new lap car ghosting system that Codemasters have introduced. He's been in that part of the track quite often. Yellow flag in sector 1. I think that's Gazaman.
Yeah, it is. He's letting a few. He's letting the 2 battling it out through.
Yeah, he's let them by 2 laps remaining. Nexus in the lead. Ivan 1.8 seconds back, so the Mercedes is pulling away a bit. Can Aaron catch up? See the fastest lap from Estimax, 106.6. That's not that surprising. Will Aaron be able to challenge for this 2nd position? We will have to wait and see, because it could very well end up being the win by the time Wednesday comes around. Zephydoodle down in 6th place at the moment. That'd be a big help for the championship, and it's not looking too bad despite only having 1 driver in the constructors for Ferrari, because Zephydoodle and SD Mats at the moment, they would get a combined 12 points between them. Aaron getting 15 on his own in the Ferrari.
Yeah, Aaron again, as we said right at the start, consistency is key, and it looks like he's going to get another podium here. It might be first, it might be second, we'll have to see, but he's got a really good run out of turn 1. He's had to try it around the outside for turn 3. This is the battle for the race win, dependent on penalties with Iceman. Cannot get the move done into turn 3. Not a bad run out of turn 3. And now we'll have DRS going into turn 4. We'll have to expect Ivan to outbrake him here. And he does going into turn 4. Aaron is not going to give this position up easily. And they're still going side by side, but Ivan is able to keep the position. And I think that could be it, unless Ivan does make a mistake.
Yeah, I can't really see where there's going to be a passing place around the rest of this circuit. And Nexus, he's not aware of what's happening behind him. Boris did actually. He's battling with Azamat at 4th and 5th at the moment, but Nexus rounding the final couple of corners. He will cross the line to take the win on track here at the Austrian Grand Prix. Ivan holds on for 2nd, Aaron in 3rd position, and Ivan could very well end up being the victory if it is a 10-second rather than a 5-second penalty for Nexus. Boris, he's recovered to, he's, well, stayed in 4th place in the end after that incident, catching back up to Azamaters. Liam.
I don't know what's happening. He's collided, I think. I think he's collided with Pizza Parker, I think. Or Norwich City, one of the 2.
Azamat ended up 4th because of a penalty for Boris. Estimat 6th, Zephydoodle 7th, Daniel 8th. Desea crossing the line in 9th place. Kingan, 31 laps on these hard tyres after being involved in an incident early on. Gets a point for his troubles.
Yeah, Pizza Parker 11th, and Norwich City actually got 11th, and Pizza Parker 12th. Wow.
That all seemed to kick off there towards the end of the race, but Nexus will be taking the top step of the podium. If he gets a 5-second penalty, it's win number 2 in a row. If it is a 10-second for repeat offences, it will be Ivan who will take his first win of the season. But either way, Nexus has once again gained on Aaron and Zeppadoodle in the championship.
Yeah, Iceman not having that many penalties has actually been able to get more than a 10-second gap to Aaron. So Aaron has lost points to Iceman. Zeppadoodle has definitely lost out. P7, not where you want to be when both your rivals are there on the podium, and he'll be looking at them knowing he's not done very well this race.
So we'll just quickly run through the provisional results again. Nexus with the victory, Ivan second, Aaron in third place. As a matter, the alternative strategy proving its worth again. 14th to 4th, Boris in 5th, Estimat 6th, Zeppadoodle 7th, Daniel, Dazaic and Kingan the final points placers. Norwich City and Peter Parker 11th and 12th. Liam did not finish but classified in 13th place, and Gazaman and Charlie said that were lapped. So Leon, who was your driver of the day for today?
I think I'm going to have to give it to Azamata. Did start P14 on the alternate strategy, bear that in mind. And with that collision that he probably couldn't avoid, with I think it was ESD Mats returning back on the track backwards or something like that. Yeah, and still getting P4 out of it. I think that he should be my driver of the day.
Yes, you're going for Azamata. I think in the end, well, there's a man out there who qualified on pole, took the victory out on track and managed to keep it clean. It's just a shame he's probably not going to keep it. But I think my driver today has to be Nexus. He was just on another level in qualifying and just showed his pace by the fact that he was managed to take the win out on track without gaining any penalties, when most of those around him had 2 or 3 penalties throughout the race. So he is my driver of the day.
Yeah, he didn't get any penalties on track. However, obviously we'll have to see Tuesday or Wednesday to see whether the game was telling us the truth, to see if he did ready up first, and if he did, he will most likely lose his win. Yeah, we won't do any podium interviews, obviously. Yeah, that has been it from me and Luke. This has been the Austrian Grand Prix. Next week will be Silverstone for round number 10, the home Grand Prix for many drivers and us too as commentators. But that's been it from me and Luke. 6:30 again next Friday for Podium Tier, and Believe Precision is on right now. So that's been it from me and Luke, and for Podium we'll see you next week.